We're Cassie.
And Emily.
And this is Book Bits and Chill, a podcast where we talk about books, movies, and pop culture the way that you actually experience them.
This show is for type B readers, people who love stories but don't want the pressure, perfection, or the participation trophies.
Hit follow, grab a drink, and let's talk about it.
I need everyone to know that we walked into the Odyssey expecting a serious Christopher Nolan epic and somehow walked out emotionally defending a man-eating Cyclops and 3 new vocal stems.
Shields! Get the spears! Shields!
Beggars! I genuinely never expected to be laughing this hard during this movie.
And somehow at the exact same time, everyone in our theater was leaned in so far forward, they were practically falling out of their seats. People were covering their eyes. Jaws were on the floor. It was one of the most tense theater experiences that I've had in a long time.
And after experiencing that, we originally planned today's episode to be a pretty straightforward Book Bits and Chill book-to-screen adaptation discussion.
But the more we started talking after we left the theater, the more we realized this movie is about so much more than whether it's a faithful adaptation or not.
So today we're doing a full spoiler discussion of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. We're talking about the scenes we cannot stop thinking about it, the internet debates that have taken over our For You page, and behind the scenes details that somehow made us want to immediately go watch it again.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Okay, what did you, being a Christopher Nolan fan, expect going into this movie?
So first expectation was that I was not going to understand half of what was going on, even though I've read the Odyssey. I'm familiar with the lore. I love Greek mythology, and I knew he was still going to confuse the shit out of me. My second expectation was that he was going to make the women terrible. He was going to write them in a way that was going to be meager or weak or forgettable or any of those things. And I was pleasantly surprised that neither of those things fully came true.
I did not know that
Only
was a
kind
thing
of
with
came
him.
true. Oh, yeah. That's a huge thing.
He, is usually not for the women.
That is my huge gripe about him, is that in every single one of his movies, any of the female leads, they are very misunderstood, and it almost intentionally, where you're like, you kind of did this maybe on purpose. I don't know.
Christopher. But what I knew about him from a bigger picture, because I haven't seen a ton of his movies, was just he spent so much budget, money, time on these movies, and they're always so big that I guess I was kind of expecting a very faithful adaptation going in.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
No. He really, as a writer, likes to obviously adapt these things for these big, epic, full-length 3-hour movies. But also, I think he likes to take his own little spin on things here and there.
I agree that he did a pretty good job telling the heart of the story, but I think we can both agree it wasn't a perfect adaptation.
No, which I don't know how you do a perfect adaptation, to be honest with you. This movie was already 3 hours long, and there was a lot that was left out. And I'm like, if you were to include literally everything from that book, you would be in that theater for 12 hours at least.
Do you think if you never read this book or didn't know the background of the story that you would be deeply confused?
Yes, I think in the first 20 minutes, you sit down, you're like, oh my God, I'm about to see the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan. Wow, this is going to be so cool. And then you probably are sitting there just being like, what in the hell am I watching? What is happening? So I think if you don't have the background on this story, a lot of the first part of this movie you will be deeply, deeply confused by.
But I think that by the end, you do catch up on what's going on.
For sure. I mean, that's what's nice about this story. It's so straightforward. It is literally this man who went to war, tried to make it home, took some side quests, finally made it home. And that's literally it. It's very straightforward.
That's very true, the basis of it. And even though there were some immediate changes to the story, which we'll get into later, I do feel like he kept the heart of what people needed to take away from this book. And like one of those big things was this man just went away to war, Odysseus, and he did some atrocities that he doesn't feel so good about after leaving. And there's a lot of
man with a conscience.
A man with a conscience. And there's a lot of guilt associated around that, and a guilt with how long he's left his family, and guilt about what's happening to his island. And I feel like I felt that fully from Matt Damon.
Totally agree. Like, I actually cannot imagine any other actor taking on this role, genuinely. And it's so funny because why can Matt Damon never make it home? I'm like, this man has been in so many movies where he is just lost. He cannot get back. He's by himself. Like, the half the time that I was watching the Odyssey, I was like, damn, like, he had to go through The Martian.
Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne. I like this. He didn't even know who he was when he was Jason Bourne. I'm like, this poor man. The second he's like eating the lotus flowers with Calypso, and I was like, was Jason Bourne also eating lotus flowers? Like,
and that's our first question for Matt Damon. How can you tap into being so confused?
If Matt Damon was here, I would say, are you actually eating lotus flowers in real life? Because you are delivering an incredible performance on those.
I also think that, like, from maybe this is me speaking as a woman, but watching these men be leaders throughout this story, I think you're supposed to be kind of frustrated with them because they are leading people literally to their death with almost no thought behind it.
Well, and you really see their ego like come to the forefront, you know, where it's like, you know, Matt or Odysseus, Matt. I'm on a first name basis with Matt Damon. Odysseus, he is like this lauded war general, like one of the most strategic, thoughtful, whatever. And there's obviously a huge level of emotional intelligence that you have to be that, right? And so you see that coming through with his character throughout the majority of the story. But then he makes these random decisions, snap decisions where you're like, bro, your ego is too big for your cranium. It is coming out. It is literally too big for the room. and that is where I'm like, oh, that's frustrating, exhausting.
And then that's where I'm like, is it just men? Yeah, is it just men? Because we also see this really big presence in the movie, Agamemnon, who definitely has a much larger, like, aura in this movie than he does in the book. And it's a lot about how he's just like leading thousands and thousands of men to their death and has no second thought about it. So there's like all the men in this movie are actually kind of doing the same thing.
Which also, can we talk about Agamemnon for a second? Because the entire movie, which I don't think that this was the case in the book. So clearly this was a decision on Christopher Nolan's part. He never takes off his helmet. The only time he takes it off, he is killed by his wife.
Yep.
And what's her name?
Clytemnestra.
Clytemnestra. He's killed by Clytemnestra. And so, you know, everyone's watching this movie, you know, the fans are reacting and they're like, Agamemnon and those, you know, eyes behind that helmet, whatever. And then you look up the actor and it is shocking who he is.
Yeah, he's a comedian. Like, that's how I know him. Benny Safdie, I think his name is, which he was in Oppenheimer, which I didn't see. So maybe he played a serious role in that, but I know him as an internet comedian.
Like, literally suddenly became important at work is what I was getting from this man.
And people were going crazy for his, look at it though. Did he ever say a word? I do not remember him saying a word.
He did on the Black Sand Beach when he was telling the story of how he ended up there. But that was
all I remember is his pretty shiny armor and those eyes through it, and him just quite literally standing there. I never saw him holding a weapon, I don't think.
We know he's horrible from knowing the story, but if in the movie he wasn't, you know that he is this like leader that Odysseus is taking orders from technically, but like you never see him like dole out these orders. Like you
you watch him kill his child.
We didn't even see that. We just saw him like carrying her away, and like that was like a snap thing. I don't know. I just feel like he was such a like enigma.
Such an
I
interesting
feel like
perspective.
it was he was very much an enigma throughout the movie, where the only time you're like, oh, this is an evil bastard is like literally that part with his child, and then when Clemenastra like gets her revenge. But I feel like the whole other part, it was like he's just this like lauded like big titan of war, and like that was kind of it.
That's such an interesting perspective because I had the ick from him the entire time because I was like, he threw that child in the ocean and his wife was so upset that she is committing murder. And so I could
But
never.
you knew the story is my point. So I'm like, if you go into this without knowing the story, like you could just,
Yeah.
again, really feel like this guy is like a bit of an enigma. And then again,
Yeah,
you go
his
do your research
mystery.
after and you see who it is under the helmet. And you're like, oh,
100%.
mystery's
Another
gone.
Another important like theme of this book and going into this movie is returning home, his journey home, and to Penelope and Telemachus. And that was what I felt was like a much bigger emotional picture in the movie versus the book.
Agreed. But I think because I feel like Tom Holland, Telemachus, to be honest, like
Yeah.
stole the show, and Anne Hathaway and her portrayal of Penelope also stole the show. Like
I know.
they did such a great job depicting this like yearning for this figure to come back to them, and this like desperation to have this person back to them, that I feel like that delivered on it so well as you're like watching Odysseus just like fumble on his side quests.
Do you think that Christopher Nolan was trying to make us feel more emotional towards Matt Damon and Odysseus and like, oh, he just wants to get back to this family that's at home, and like we knew so much of the backstory of what was going on.
So that was one of my gripes from the choices in the writing, was that when you read the Odyssey, Odysseus is incredibly flawed. Like this man, he's up to some shisty things on these side quests of his.
Yeah.
And you get none of that from the movie. Like literally none of that. Like not even a taste of like, oh, he was like being nefarious with Calypso or whatever. Like even when he's with Calypso, he's like, I don't love you. Like I don't want to be here, whatever. But it's like, in the book, like he did feel that way, but he was still being like a cheater. And same thing with when he was with Circe. And so I don't know. That was a piece for me where I was like, he was very glorified in the movie versus in the book.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And this actually leads me to needing to talk about some of these scenes that happened. And the moment I was actually most mad at Matt Damon was when I can't separate Matt from Odysseus.
Matt.
That I was most mad at Matt Damon was when they were on the island with the Cyclops, and that whole scene in general was just insane. I think Cassie and I were literally hyperventilating.
I actually think that I watched maybe 25% of that scene because I kept having to look away. I was like, I can't do this. Like I am trapped in this theater with a Cyclops and Matt Damon who is unhinged.
Yeah. And I think that when we were watching, we're like, oh my God, this Cyclops is so horrible. He's eating these men, like he's got them trapped. But then after the movie, I was thinking about it and I'm like, these men broke into his home, started trying to steal his little sheeps, and were also kind of like harassing him while he was trying to sleep.
Literally, I'm like, this Cyclops is just living a quiet life.
Yeah, he was living a shepherd's life.
A shepherd's life. And these little warriors, these pipsqueak warriors come in and disrupt his entire peaceful setup. There was so much to that where I would be interested if you didn't know the full backstory, like if you empathized with the Cyclops or not, or if it was just such a crazy, like 20 minutes of that movie that you're like, I needed him to be gone just so I could be out of that cave with him.
I think that people are empathizing with him because when they finally get out, it's like kind of harmless. And then Matt Damon's like,
Odysseus
is like, I need to like prove that I'm this like great hero and I took out this monster that is only talked about in fables. So he goes back and harms the Cyclops and fucking pisses him off and ends up killing like a bunch of his crew. And that's where I'm like, you are disgusting, Odysseus.
I do think the choices around like how the crew reacted to Odysseus's choices were good. I feel like those were the only moments where it was very clear that like, okay, he's not getting overly glorified. Like the crew is like really starting to see some cracks in his armor and they're not fully trusting of him and all of the things. And so I felt like that was the first moment where you were like, who was his like right hand man? Like watching that part and watching him be like, yo, what the fuck was that? After that, I was like, okay, this is good. Like we're getting some well-rounded perspectives here.
I know. But then, so he goes on his journey, and this isn't in like chronological order, but he goes to the sirens, and he's like, all of my men need to take care of themselves and put wax in their ears. But me, you know me, I'm like so big and strong and I can handle this. And I want to be the only man that's ever heard the siren song. So I'm going to tie myself to this mast and not put a wax in my ears. And I'm like, are you a fucking idiot?
Literally, that's where I was like, oh, this man is like he's on his own little adventure. Like he is having the time of his life right now while everyone is battling for their lives.
I was like, you're so selfish. But then at the same time, you're like, want him to get back to Tom Holland so bad. You're like, get back to that little son. He needs you. But then you're also like, God, I wish your crew would throw you over this ship.
Can I just say, when that whole scene was happening, I could only hear My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. As Matt Damon is screaming his head off.
That's actually
I'm literally
so
hearing
good.
the like little pan flute playing in the background.
That's actually so good. And maybe that is the siren song. That is what the sirens are singing.
I would totally believe that Celine Dion was a siren. Like, I would 100%. Not question that for a second. A lot of people were like arguing about if Christopher Nolan should have actually came up with like a song to play during that time because it's shown as silence. And yeah, I don't think so either, because the whole myth around it is like that cannot be heard by human ears. Right. You can't survive hearing that. So if he's playing that in a movie, it would go from My Heart Will Go On to that episode in the Goblet of Fire when he like opens up the egg out of the water.
100%.
Like, I didn't need to hear that. So
that's what I was expecting. So yeah, I was also okay with not hearing it. So a couple of things, which I don't know if you knew this, but I guess that Christopher Nolan isn't big in CGI. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Let me call myself out before you do. Wait, he is not big into CGI.
No, he does a lot of like practical things.
Yes. Yeah. No, he like will either build his own sets or he like finds literally any sort of location on the planet that can fulfill whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah, so they actually took naked-ass women and put them on that rock.
Oh, yeah, baby. You thought they were going to CGI that out of all the things.
No, but like they actually were on a ship in the Mediterranean Sea next to a rock. Like, and when that was being filmed, they stayed on that ship all day and those naked women were just flopping around on that rock.
This kind of sounds like my dream.
Why did he call me?
On a rock in the Mediterranean, not a care in the world other than pretending to be a siren.
Another scene where I was absolutely blown away that it was not CGI was the whole time that they were on Circe's island. Yeah. We need to discuss. First of all, before going into the movie, I hear that Samantha Morton got a 6-minute standing ovation for her role as Circe in this movie. And so I am expecting her to be in like a 45-minute stint of this movie and just absolutely acting her ass off.
Yep.
Come to find out, she's there for 7 minutes of the whole film.
But dare I say she stole the show in those 7 minutes. I think it was longer than 7 minutes, but she stole the show. Like, literally, the way that she was able to play into this, like, horror element of the story was
I didn't expect that.
unbelievable. But then you still empathize with her and you feel for her because she just has these men that come like assuming that she's like this meager woman that they can just take advantage of. And she's like, oh, no, no, no. So
Yeah.
I thought that the way that she acted, that was unbelievable. And it was truly one of those things where I was like, I don't think anyone else could have like pulled that off in the way that she did.
I respected her performance in the movie. Was I like, oh, she did so much better than Anne Hathaway or she did so much better than Tom Holland? I don't know. But I respected it.
I don't know if I would say better, but she did an amazing job.
When my tides changed, my opinion changed because I left the movie. I'm on Google. I'm like looking up like Samantha Morton in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Naturally. And I find out that when she's turning the men into pigs, that was animatronics and clay and actual actors acting like these freaking pigs acting like these men turning into pigs. And she like did a full choreography of ripping these men and stretching them. Like that was like all choreographed.
That is mind blowing. Give her the Oscar.
Yes. And the actors were actually on all fours getting their skin stretched. And then eventually it turns into like clay and then animatronics. But she like literally acted out that entire scene. And I'm like, okay, fine, Samantha, you can have the Oscar.
Fine, Samantha, we'll give you the standing ovation.
Yeah, I get it now. But like they literally need to put little pop-ups on the bottom of the screen to tell us these things while we're watching them.
I think we're just supposed to like appreciate it because it's art.
Somebody forgot to tell me that.
Okay, speaking of women who are getting lauded for their performances.
Yeah.
One of them, Zendaya. She plays Athena, and she shows up throughout the movie as basically like the devil and the angel on Matt Damon's shoulder, Odysseus's shoulders. And she has been all over the press.
Yeah.
Being like, she got a perfect from Christopher Nolan. No one ever gets a perfect. Like, she acted her ass off, whatever. This girl, I am not kidding, spoke maybe 12 words the entire time.
All facial expressions.
All facials.
So many funny videos online of like Zendaya as Athena in the Odyssey. And it's just her looking from side to side, like scolding Matt. Like, it's so funny.
It's so funny, but it's like literally one of those things where she has like a final scene that was like incredibly emotional, incredibly impactful, a really good culmination of the story. But other than that, I was like, oh, Athena, there's Athena again. What's up, girl?
Yeah. And,
what facial expression do you have for us now?
I saw Zendaya at every press stop, every press tour, every interview. And I'm like, Elliot Page should have been on every interview, every press tour, everything. And he was on some of them. Like I saw some interviews with him, but Zendaya was like a fixture in the PR campaign.
Speaking of scenes that literally stole the show, Elliot Page on the black sand beach was unbelievable.
I literally just got chills.
This man, first of all, he had to get killed outside of the Trojan horse.
Yes.
When he was duped by Odysseus. And then he's on this black sand beach and like his monologue that he delivered. Oh my God. It was
with
just
blood pouring out of his mouth.
And like literal black sand all over his face. Like I was floored. That was, I would say, one of the performances that was hands down best in the movie.
One of my favorites, 100%. And can I tell you something? Again, shocked by Christopher Nolan. They actually buried those men on the beach. They buried them and they crawled out of that sand. They actually buried them.
I am shell-shocked right now.
Yeah.
Do you know they filmed that at the Black Sand Beach in Iceland? And I've been to that Black Sand Beach. Would not be easy to bury people there.
And I don't know how much they were buried, like I don't know the whole logistics, but this was not, again, CGI.
A CGI.
CGI. I mean, it's like a
Why were you desperate for Christopher Nolan to use CGI?
CGI. I was just like, that's the world I live in. Technology, AI, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he's still burying live humans on the sand and they're crawling out of it. It's just insane.
No, that is very crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's blowing my mind. That was one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. Like, that was just like the visual impact of it, obviously, but then like everything was just unbelievable. But the second woman that I was going to say is Calypso, who was played by Charlize Theron. So here's my gripe about how Chris Nolan wrote the women, because Circe and Calypso, they both, obviously, they really wrote Circe to be crazy, fair. But, like, also Odysseus had a hand in that, by the way. Like, he was not guilty. And then Calypso, I was like, she was just very, like, meek. Like, she was like, tell me what you're remembering. Like, tell me the memories. And then, like, there was the one part where she was like, you know, I was in love with you and I didn't want to let you go. But, like, that was kind of it.
And the whole time she's wrapped in a blanket that looks like a tortilla. It's actually crazy, the costume choice they put on her.
Taco Bell, get in there.
Like, I'm like, is this sponsored by Taco Bell? It was Christopher Nolan. I will not forgive you for that.
He didn't use CGI, but he did use tortillas.
It was insane. But I agree, like, they definitely took the wind out of Calypso's sails. Like, she was supposed to be much more emotional, much more like, just like her energy was supposed to be so much bigger. Like, she has all of these men on her island that she tricks. Like, it's supposed, and it was just like her walking up a sandy beach.
Yeah. Yeah. But
so you think that's a Christopher...
collecting nets in the ocean, and that's literally it. And I think
that's a Christopher Nolan special.
Yes, for sure. He wrote it. That was for sure his decision.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't like that Circe got done dirty personally. I think she did. Yeah. Like, there's just so much more to her story that was left on the table, and she was like only made out to be like this witchy woman, and then Calypso was just like flat.
Well, again, so like Odysseus is supposed to kind of fall in love with Circe. And I think that like they had to take that out of the story for the audience that hasn't read the book to like actually be invested in this journey he's going home. Yeah, true. Okay, but also we need to talk about when Odysseus gets home and that beard. Yes. Was he not giving like Gandalf at that point? Let's talk about Ithaca. Walking around. Let's discuss Ithaca. Let's open the doors wide open to Ithaca and everything that was going on. Love Island Ithaca, because that's literally what it was. Casa Amor was Penelope's home. Oh my God. I mean, so I thought that the way they portrayed the suitors was really interesting, because you really only saw Antinous. Yeah, Antinous. I don't know. It might be Antinous. Yeah. Who's played by Robert Pattinson going after Penelope. Like, you didn't really see anyone else like stepping up as a suitor per se. Which I thought was interesting. Because in the book, like, there's definitely stronger and weaker suitors or whatever, but they're all there on a mission. Like, they're like, I want to be the king of Ithaca, and I know what that takes. But it definitely seems like Robert Pattinson was like the king of the suitors, and they were all like, yeah, we're just here to eat and drink. Exactly. They're here to party. Yeah, party. Yeah. Okay, on Ithaca, like, I feel like that's where we first looked at each other in the movie theater and said, they have American accents. Yeah, which was really throwing me off. But then I was telling Emily, like, when I watched Troy with Brad Pitt for the first time, I was also floored by that. Like, they also had American accents. Yeah. And then in Gladiator, a lot of them had American accents too. So I was like, what is this? Like, I need to do research because I don't understand that. Yeah. I don't get it. I get what you're saying about Troy, but I said this to her. I was like, I expected at least Anne Hathaway to have like a little Mia Thermopolis accent going on. Like, she's like got her Genovia. And I'm like, what is that accent? I don't know, but at least it's not American. Like, Anne Hathaway as the like queen of a Greek island with American accent, I didn't get it.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. I don't know. I need to do more research there because there's clearly like there is a thread. Like it's not just a Christopher Nolan choice. Like this has been done
Yeah.
before. I just don't know why. And then like it's kind of
So
taking the whimsy out of this for me.
I saw that people were saying that Christopher Nolan actually didn't base his story on Homer, and he based it on Emily Wilson's translation of the Odyssey. And she uses
Oh,
much more like Americanized, westernized language. And so they
yeah.
think that that's why part of the reason, like Anne Hathaway said, partying while
Yeah.
she was, and I guess Tom Holland at some point says like dad. And like they would have never said
Mm.
dad in ancient Greece.
They would have said father. Father?
Father,
Is that
father,
my father?
please.
Is that
Yeah.
my papa?
So like that's supposedly one reason people think that he made those directive choices.
That actually makes total sense. I cannot get over Rob Pattinson's Antinous.
No.
Like
Insane.
this man, he knew his assignment and he delivered. Like genuinely, I would put him on this last season of Love Island US. Like that's how diabolical of a man he was.
Do you think
He
he
would
was
fit
almost
right in.
like? Do you think he was almost like too magnetic? Like, did we almost fall to his side? We were almost like, okay, and like, go ahead.
Okay, and try it out.
Yeah.
See what happens. It's been 20 years. Okay. You go get yours.
He was so funny. And like to my like a beginning point of this episode, he was also a leader who kind of
Yeah.
like stood back and didn't really like fight the good fight and just let
Yeah.
all of his soldiers fall in front of him.
Yeah, but you do see the like foil between like him and Odysseus where like he wasn't willing to get his hands dirty versus like Odysseus was like in it, you know, at
True.
least. He was in
Yeah.
it with his men. He was running into battle first before his men, you know, versus like Antinous would have been like in the back in the war tent.
Yeah. And Robert Pattinson's delivery of Antinous's lines was so funny. I was laughing way more than I expected.
Need to know who Rob Pattinson's dialect coach is for his American accent. Because he goes like so Brooklyn out of nowhere. I'm like, bro,
The
you are on
best.
the. Can someone
He
get the
was so
beggars out of
funny.
here? I mean, I don't know. I'm like, where are you at in your American accent? Like, what region of the US are you in? Because it
I
never
know.
makes sense to me, ever.
I seriously need to watch every single interview that's gone down and then go rewatch the movie.
I mean, I've watched basically every interview because my algorithm is trained to show me Robert Pattinson content.
Yeah.
It's
So-
basically just him fucking around as he does.
Something else that the internet was talking about is like worrying about Anne Hathaway's Botox. And they were like,
Oh,
how is
yeah.
she has such amazing work done. I mean, top tier work. How is she going to be as emotional as Penelope needs to be in this
Yep.
movie?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Never
Deliver.
doubt her. Never doubt her.
Never doubt Annie Hathaway. If there's one big takeaway from this movie, is never count her out, okay?
No.
Because she will deliver a Les Mis performance like it's literally breathing air for her. Like, it is so impressive. And the way that she played Penelope, like, she was holding onto Odysseus with a vice grip. Like, she is
Yes.
the definition of that is my husband who I stand by. And I
Yeah.
do not care who else is here. I don't care that Robert Pattinson is literally whispering sweet nothings in my ear. I want Odysseus, and that's it.
I want Odysseus. I
want
feel
Odysseus.
like I have to say that she was the most convincing of her character. Like I was convinced that Penelope would indeed wait 20 years for Odysseus to come home with the way she portrayed her.
She loves that man down. She was like, I don't care who is here, who's partying. I want Odysseus. And that's literally it. And I was like, oh my God, the way
We
that
get it.
literally
We get it.
anyone else, she's like, literally looking at her grown ass child. And she's like,
Yeah.
Odysseus or bust.
That is another thing that I'm waffling on is Tom Holland's performance.
Why?
Okay, so I think it's
What is there
because
to waffle on?
I think it's because he did such a good job. And I don't think that I ever fully related to Telemachus's problems. I always wanted him to, like, in the book and the movie, I was like, fucking slit Robert Pattinson's throat. Like, step up, pick up a sword, literally burn these men to the ground, light the room on fire. I was like, save your mother. And it's like he could never do it. And so I guess, like, Tom Holland made me feel that way, which made me hate him. I don't know.
I mean, that's literally just Telemachus. Like,
yeah. So I guess he did an amazing job.
He did. I do think he did a better job of showing that Telemachus was like growing up, you know, like as he learned more about his dad and things like that, where like when he became the king at the end, it was very believable to me. I was like, okay, Ithaca's in good hands. Like, he's got this.
I did not think so. After they did this scene where, like, he literally is in charge of killing one guy while Odysseus is killing, like, 70 people, and he cannot kill this guy, and he's throwing weapons to Robert Pattinson. Shield! Sword! There! Like, throwing things through the hole. I was like, how are you going to lead a country?
He is untrained. He's untrained. But he's strategic. He's got a good strategic mind, okay?
He did.
And he had the blind man at his side, so, like, you know. He'd be fine.
Yes.
He'd be fine.
I do think that he showed an amazing, like, array of emotions when it came to how emotional he was about a father he's actually never met.
Right? It was so
very
impressive. Because that was what I could not relate to with Telemachus when I read the book. Like, it wasn't just that he was a weenie hut junior, but like
wimpy.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Written by Telemachus.
Literally.
But no, that was the thing that I couldn't relate to, was like, almost in the book, I was like, yo, you don't know this man from Adam, okay? Like, all you know is your mom, like, pining over him, and that's it, yearning for him. But, like, why is that enough to, like, set you on this, like, great journey to try and find your father and avenge your father and whatever? And maybe it's because they're so bored at that point, you know, like, they don't have a lot to do or think about. They didn't have TV at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was the piece where I was like, I'm not really relating. Like, let this guy go. Like, he's been gone your whole life. No one's coming back. No one's come back from Troy, babe. Like, no ships have come back. Okay.
Yeah.
So
not.
I do feel like his delivery of that performance in the movie made me empathize with him so much more, because I was like, oh my God, you like see him just like aching for this dad that like he knows is this like legend and incredible man and whatever, and he like wants to learn from him, he wants to live near him, all of these things. And like I think Tom Holland did just such a good job of portraying that.
I think I see your point, and now I'm not waffling anymore, and I'm back to I think he did a great job on his performance.
I cannot believe that was a question.
He did such a good job that I was questioning it, because his character makes you question him.
Okay, interesting.
But out of all of these actors, because we've heard like Oscar noms being thrown around like crazy. So like, who do you think's actually getting an Oscar nom?
Ooh, are we playing Oscar nomination predictions?
Yes. We're playing Oscar nominations predictions. Yes, the longest title of a game show ever.
Me trying to brand this game. Okay, here's my list.
Yeah.
So first off, best supporting actor. The blind man.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Best supporting actress, Anne Hathaway. And
no, she's a main. She's a main.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Best lead actress, Anne Hathaway. Best actor, Matt Damon.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I think those are going to be the three. I actually think that Tom Holland is going to get like Golden Globe, maybe a SAG, who knows?
You think he's going to get snubbed?
Yeah, I do.
I think they're going to throw him a nomination.
No, I think he's going to get snubbed, personally. If Timothée Chalamet has gotten snubbed as many times as he has, like, I think Tom Holland's getting snubbed.
But that's just what happens when you start dating a Kardashian. Like, that's in the voodoo. That's not about your acting.
No, he got snubbed well before that. But I do think, since I think John whatever would get nominated for supporting actor before Tom Holland would.
Who?
And it's not...
Oh, John Leguizamo.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
Who? Oh, John Leguizamo.
Oh, the full name. It's not uncommon that two actors from the same movie get nominated, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's super common. So I don't know. I am thinking that he's going to get snubbed. That's my prediction.
I would like to throw in though, like maybe if
Eh.
what do you call them? The board,
The board, the Academy.
the Academy was being
Yeah.
really thoughtful. Elliot Page,
Yeah, I
could
agree.
you see it?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think he delivered one of the best performances in the movie. But I also,
Ramesh Patel, who
Yes.
played Eurycles.
yeah, I could see it. I don't know. I could see him getting like some smaller nods, you know,
What are smaller nods? I don't think I'm
like a Golden
well-versed.
Globe,
Okay.
you know, like I don't think that he's gonna get I don't think he's getting on the big stage.
Do you think that
Unfortunately,
anybody's sweeping across all awards, like maybe Matt Damon?
Matt Damon for sure. I mean, he
Yeah.
crushed that. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. I
It
want
was-
to know what kind of body routine he did for that movie also, because
Literally.
it was wild.
Literally release the routine, Matt.
Release
Like,
the workout tapes.
we all need it. Release the workout tapes. Literally
Okay.
every single one of us need it. Okay. So final awards. Best performance, favorite scene, and your final rating on the movie versus the book.
Best performance, I think it, like, I want to say Matt Damon. Like, how can you not, you know?
Yeah, fair. He's mine too.
And then favorite scene, I would have to say like the underworld scene. I loved that scene with like Elliot
Yeah.
Page, and then also Agamemnon like coming out, and just like the amount of like emotions
Yeah.
on that scene. I loved that scene. Is there any
I
other ones
know.
that stand out to you?
I am torn between the underworld and when Odysseus like comes in for the challenge with the suitors.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
like comes forward as the beggar, and then he like ties the bowstring, and that, you know, like that whole choreography of all of that, I was enraptured the entire time.
That's true. But also like a scene, like a fight scene like that got me a little worked up in the movie was when they were doing a flashback to Troy and they open the gates and all of those men come flooding through
Yes.
behind Odysseus. Can I tell you something? I heard
Always.
that Matt Damon didn't know that many people were going to be coming through. He thought it was going to be like 100 people, and then they didn't tell him, and like 1,000 people came flooding behind him.
Wait, that is incredible.
That's a rumor.
literally, that's a rumor.
I can't say that's true. That's a rumor I found online.
That's fake news.
Yeah.
I do think though that whole scene and how it was set up of like them starting in the horse at night and then coming out like in silence and then like taking down the soldiers one by one, like that whole scene, I felt like my heart was just in overdrive, but it
Right.
was done so well. And
So
then like
that was-
Agamemnon being the last one to walk through when the soldiers came through, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
So maybe that one too. I don't know. I need
Wow.
to see it again to confirm.
Fair. Okay,
Final rating? What are we rating it? Popcorn buckets?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, literally, my brother is going to yell at me. He already told
Uh-oh.
me to get a grip and like get over myself, but I
Yeah.
want to say like 5 popcorn buckets.
Wait, why did he tell you to get a grip and get over yourself?
I was going on and on about it, and he said, "Let it breathe." He doesn't believe me.
Let it breathe.
He said, "Let it breathe."
Okay, I am not going to let it breathe either because I loved it so much, and I would also give it a 5. Like, I thought, and other than my like gripes on just how Christopher Nolan writes certain things, like the movie and the portrayal of the book, I thought was just like very spot on. Like the plot points that he narrowed in on were, in my mind, exactly what he should have narrowed in
Yeah.
on. The actors that were chosen for each of the parts were
Yeah.
perfect, like perfectly cast. Like I felt like the writing was well done in terms of pacing, where like that story gets dense and slow and exhausting a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I did not feel that at any point in the movie. So I thought it
No.
was very well done.
I feel like I was watching that movie for 45 minutes. It ended, and I was like, I need more. I need
Yeah.
more.
Please,
Yeah.
blink of an eye.
Is it a
Okay.
faithful adaptation? I don't know.
No.
But is it a cinematic masterpiece? I think so.
Yeah, I just again I'm like I don't know how you could do a faithful adaptation in at that scale, you know? Like
Yeah,
it would be really hard.
that's
So,
such a good point.
gotta respect it. Gotta respect the game. So, if we both love Greek mythology, but you are
Yeah,
like an addict. So, if
yeah,
someone saw the movie, they don't want to read the Odyssey, but they want more of these
yeah.
vibes, what books would you say that they should read? I have some thoughts, but we
Absolutely.
should start with
Yeah.
yours.
I'm going to let you have your thoughts because I know what they are.
Okay.
I think that if you took away from this movie that you loved Penelope and you had more like interest in her and you wanted more
Yeah.
on her background, I think Ithaca by Claire North focuses a lot on Penelope. So I think that you should
Mm.
read that book.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Mine would be if you watch Circe's part and you were like, holy shit, I need to know way more about this witchy woman and what her vibes are and why. You need to read Circe by Madeline Miller. Like it's such a good depiction of her story where you see her from literally when she was like born as a goddess to when she's exiled, her time on the island, how she finally gets off, like
Yeah.
all of these things. It's so good.
Also, if you were like Cassie and you're a little frustrated with Christopher Nolan's depiction of women, a more women-centric version of this story is A Thousand Ships by Natalie Havness. Good one to grab.
Love that. Okay. And then also, if you were kind of getting like a little bit of like some sapphic vibes from this movie, like maybe
Yeah.
between Antinous and Telemachus, I don't know. Like I'm just saying there were some vibes. There were some undertones. Okay. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, also, you can tell that I love this author,
Yeah.
is incredible and unbelievably beautifully romantic, heartbreaking, all of these things. It's about the love story between Patroclus and Achilles, and it's so well done. And
And
this
yeah,
story will be with you for forever.
if you were confused by the Trojan War flashbacks in this movie and you need like you don't
Yeah.
want to read the Iliad, but you want a more interesting story, that's a great pick also.
True, true. And then my last one is, if you didn't picture My Heart Will Go On while Odysseus is screaming on the boat and the non-CGI sirens are on the rocks, In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy is a great book to read if you want more of that like siren lore. I feel like as women,
Yeah.
that whole vibe is just such a fun part of Greek mythology that we like don't get as much of. Like we just literally get the siren song and that's it. And so
Yeah.
this book like really expands on it and follows a literal siren through all of her trials and tribulations. And it's amazing.
Because a man has rewritten history about the sirens, and no, they're not just naked women. They actually started as half bird-like creatures.
That's
It's
right.
important to know.
It's important to know. I agree. Great call.
If you loved us fangirling over the Odyssey, you are going to want to stay tuned next week when we are fangirling over all of our July reads and preparing our TBR for August because I need it to be a good one.
Oh, same. I am ready. But I'm also ready to talk about a lot of what I read because there were some hitters
I'm
and
ready
some
to hear
scary
it.
ones too. Yep, that's right. All right. In the meantime, we'll see you same time, same place. Grab your blankets, grab your good boyfriends, and we'll see you then.
See ya.